Anybody got?
Yeah.
Get my little mince, my noisy mince out. It was, and I have to look at the positive side. Holga plays from Granger High, plays for the Vikings, so he won.
Fourth quarter went back and forth.
Quarter, and with a minute and a half left, you're like, you got this.
Yeah.
And then
I took it
did not have none of them. No,
with
we were all so excited in our section.
Huh?
No, Falcons, but
Okay.
they're
Yeah.
and the Vikings won, so I'm like, let's take it for Colin. Yeah, I'll make it a positive. But they built a new stadium,
I mean,
so Russell Wilson was playing for the lead. And I wanted to go see him in the playoffs, and that's who they were playing. And so we went once, and oh, that's what we did. The Georgia Dome was the first, where we went, the first two games we went to. But I do a few stadiums. But that's the one we chose to get in on the ground floor when they built it, so. And I'm sorry, the weather this weekend was. I think it was good here too. Wasn't it?
It wasn't bad. So I don't.
Okay. Have we heard?
I haven't heard from mom.
oh, yeah. Check her out.
No, the breakfast place.
We went to breakfast.
You did?
Mhm.
All right, well, welcome everyone and call to order the special meeting of the West Valley City Council. It is our study session and we are in it is November 7th, 2023. We are beginning at, I have the wrong agenda, isn't a problem. We're beginning at 4:30 p.m. We're in the multipurpose room of West Valley City Hall. This is what happens when Nicole lets me be in charge of my own agendas. We have Councilman Fitzsimmons and Councilman Hume. We will excuse, and present we have Councilman Norfelt, Councilman Christensen, Councilman Whetstone, Councilman Harmon, myself, and we're joined at the table by Mr. Flores, our Human Resource Director, and Ms. Kamick, our City Recorder. Our next on the agenda is our minutes of October 24th. Turn those to the council for discussion or approval.
I move to approve those minutes.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. And those stand approved. Next, we go to our review of tonight's special regular meeting. And do we have any changes, Mr. Flores?
Yes, Steve Pastrick will provide an update on 2 items on the agenda.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. So we have 2 items on the regular meeting tonight that just wanted to update the council on. So the first is Z2 2023, the zone change for property to the manufacturing zone. That was one where the council had expressed concern about that you have an older building and wanting to see some upgrades maybe to the materials or the exterior of the building. And I relayed the council's concern or desire for that to the applicant a couple different times. And basically the response I got was they would be willing to do some additional landscaping and maybe what they referred to as a modest storefront. But that was the extent of what they were willing to do. So again, just conveyed that information, and that's what essentially how they responded. So,
Okay.
and
And I
then
have let me just say real quick.
yes,
And then I'll say it again in there. I have a real problem with all the new development that's going to go around it. To have that be kind of eyesore in the middle of it, I think will just kind of bring down the rest of the developments around it. So just as a note. Okay. Thank you.
Is there anything we can do to address that issue or?
I mean, when it
I
works
agree
in,
with the mayor, by the way.
yeah, where it's an existing, existing building, if it were zoned, there's not a lot of wiggle room that way, but where it's not zoned, certainly the city doesn't have to change the zoning on the property. And so we do have some provisions in the code that talk about if you're expanding the building by a certain amount, then you have to come into compliance. I don't think that applies necessarily here, so I think it just comes down to a question of whether we feel like the zoning makes sense in this situation, given what they're proposing, so.
So is the benchmark $50,000 worth of improvements that they have to conform, or is there something different?
It's a different trigger in this situation. So if they're expanding the building by more than 50% is
Okay.
where the design standards would kick in. So
Okay, so we could deny the zoning, just saying this doesn't fit in the area?
in terms of right, the council always has the discretion in terms of a zone change to be able to just deny the zone change if you feel like what they're proposing doesn't fit the area.
Okay. Anybody else have questions on that one, or are we good? Okay, thank you.
So the other item that's on is unfinished business. This is GPZ 8 2023. You'll recall, this is the property that's just south of Beagley Road and the Ritter Canal. And there was some discussion back and forth between the applicant and Magna Water. And this has already been continued by the council twice now. And the latest information I got from the applicant is that they're working on a new concept plan to try to be responsive to what Magna Water's desires are. So they asked that it be continued until the 21st. And instead of, so obviously that doesn't work because of its elections. But the other concern we had as staff is instead of like continuing again and then again, if our suggestion would be that it be continued to no date certain. And then when they're ready and say, okay, now we have a resolution, we can put it back on the agenda at that point. So that would be our suggestion.
Okay, and then if they change the plan a certain amount, it has to go back through planning commission anyway?
It would not, it's still
Okay.
the same zoning they're asking for. It's just the concept. And I think
Okay.
the council's concern was, are we rezoning something where we're going to create a problem for Magna Water? And so I think they're trying to do this in an attempt to make sure that Magna Water is comfortable with what they're proposing. And at this point, they're not there yet.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, did anybody else have any questions on tonight's agenda? Okay. We'll go to our rewards and ceremonies proclamations, and we have 2 proclamations for next week.
Yes. The first one is one requested by Healthy West Valley Committee. We did it last year for the first time. That's the World Suicide Prevention Day. Second one is Small Business Saturday. That's an outside group, but we've done this proclamation probably for over 10 years, so.
Okay, anyone willing to read either one or both?
Do the suicide one,
Okay,
small business.
okay, thank you. All right. Good,
I just
good to
got-
stay up there. You might, it's the Steve Patrick Show. All right, so we will go to application GPZ 6 2023. Turn the time over to Mr. Patrick.
Thank you, Mayor. So this is the second time that the council's considered this item. And at the last meeting where this was discussed, there was a concerns raised about the concept and having just kind of the flow of pedestrians crossing the drive-through lane. So here again, I relayed those concerns to the applicant, and they're working on some revisions to that. They haven't submitted anything for me to share today, but they heard the concern and are trying to come up with a solution that would work for them, as well as the tenant that they have or the business they're they're working with.
Any questions?
Well, I hope they do submit a different concept plan. Because I am concerned about that, and then also just containing all the cars within the drive-through lane. We don't have things backing up on 27th. And then I'm also concerned about 38th. When you add those apartments in, and we already have had this discussion about 38th, and then you add really high traffic franchise there that I'm assuming, without knowing the name, I have to assume the worst case, right? We're gonna have, and I love chicken, but I like chicken sandwiches, but I have to assume that's what it is, and that's gonna bring a lot of more traffic to that area. So,
So are you suggesting close off the
I mean,
3800?
I don't want to design their plan for them,
Well.
but close off 38, have the road go a different direction, you know, the drive-through
No.
lane go
On the east?
north and then south, or sorry, west and then south. So they have to go into the property to get into the drive-through lane. So it kind of extends the drive-through lane through their property instead of on 27.
Maybe just one, if I may, one comment is that, and this is something, a concern that staff has expressed to them is in their concept. So they're showing the 2 access points on 27th and then the 1 on 38th. The biggest safety concern we have from as staff is that you have the road on the west side of 27th, the residential street. And basically our requirements are that their access needs to align there, because otherwise you have left turn conflicts. So in essence, the message was you really can only have 1 access on 27th. And so just from a circulation standpoint, particularly where you would have 2 parcels there, you kind of do need to have another access on 38th just to accommodate circulation. So realizing there is a lot, there's a lot on 38th, but we felt like the safety concern on 27th was the highest priority, just because those conflicting lefts is a pretty big issue.
So north of over 38th is another driveway into the stores there.
Right.
They need to align to that as well.
Well, we looked at that, the balancing act here is you have multiple things to consider. So normally, yes, but then you also have the intersection to deal with. And so generally speaking, you want to have the access as far from the intersection as possible.
Right.
So it's sort of choose your poison, right? It's kind of the thing that whenever we're dealing with a redevelopment site like this, we have these sorts of trade-offs that happen. In a perfect world, you'd have this clean slate and have all these options, but we have a lot of things that are existing. We're trying to squeeze this in, or make this work with all the existing development around it. So I think at least the last conversation I had with Public Works, we were sort of leaning more towards trying to keep the access furthest from the intersection.
So if we were to pass this tonight without the new concept plan, we wouldn't have an option to see that or
So-
approve it?
So it's not on for regular. So this,
I mean, next week, yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, do you think they'll have us a change of, because they've already we didn't have a meeting last week. This is our second review. So it's been 3 weeks.
at this point, I'm not 100% sure. I hope we can have something to share with the council. But yeah, I just don't know for sure. They haven't given me a hard submittal date for that. So.
Okay.
Well, if we feel like they're not meeting what we want right now, we can continue it.
Right.
Communicate to them what we need. And yeah, hopefully
Oh,
My
they'll
concern
come back
is,
to it or not.
it's been there since July 26th. Is when they passed through planning commission. So they've had about 4 months already.
And I think part of this is they're trying to, I think, respond to council comments, staff comments, And then it's kind of a three-way conversation, right? Where you have the city and then they're also trying to juggle the tenants or the business desires so that so that's I think why it's taking a little bit of time there is they may come up with a concept that they think works, but then they have to make sure that the business they're trying to attract is also amenable to that. And of course, the city as well. So.
I'd like to see it come before us in a final form before this Christmas.
Right, because we'll have a meeting next week and then we won't have one on the 21st because of the election.
Correct.
So,
On the 28th,
yeah,
and then.
We have one on the 28th.
We do.
Yeah.
That's on the first.
yeah, so that's only 4 between Christmas. Okay. As much pressure on them as you can. Okay,
Great, thank
any
you.
other questions? Okay, thank you. All right, we'll go to our resolutions and we have 23-170. We'll turn the time over to Kobe Wilson. Because now it's going to become the Kobe Wilson show.
For a minute. I'll try to be brief, but so this first one is a betterment agreement. This is with UDOT. This is in relation to the state's I-215 southbound frontage road project. So for those of you who don't know, the state in partnership with Taylorsville have a project to improve the southbound off-ramp. Basically, they're going to basically create that frontage road. And in addition to creating the frontage road between 41 and it's not really between 41, the off-ramp just moves further north and as the off-ramp gets down, then there's a frontage road that gets created on the west side of 215. But in addition to that, they're going to have a connector, an east-west connector road that goes from that frontage road and ties into 2700 west at Bedford Lane. So you may recall a couple years ago when we were giving kind of a project update that we were in the process of designing a storm drain project in this area. It was called the Roxborough Storm Drain Project. The purpose of that project was to convey a bunch of the stormwater that we have from the Roxborough neighborhood, everything kind of east of 32 and west of 27. We convey a lot of our stormwater through the state's property and over to a culvert that parallels I-215. And it is right now an open ditch and it's kind of a maintenance nightmare. So a couple of years ago, we were working on a project to get that piped and to work with Taylorsville in doing that. As we were finishing up that design, we learned about this upcoming project that got funded. And so at that point it was decided to kind of wait and make sure those designs correlated and we weren't putting in infrastructure that would have to be ripped out. So we waited and we've been coordinating with that team. And through that coordination, it's been decided that the most economical approach for this is to have them perform the work as a betterment. It's actually a significant savings to what we had initially planned for this project. So this first item is basically to execute a betterment agreement and contribute $140,000 plus or minus to go towards the piping of that ditch and putting in the storm drain infrastructure.
So how much had you budgeted before?
I think we had budgeted $700,000. But yeah, 750 maybe actually. I'm trying to remember. It was right around the 600,000 to 700,000, but it's a substantial savings.
Yeah,
So
good job.
Unless the plus or minus is a lot better.
plus or minus dollars, not thousands. $139,520.
Okay. Any questions on this one? Hey, and then the next one is resolution 23-171.
Okay, so this is for the UDOT 3500 South Sidewalk project. So UDOT has been working on this project for several years now. They have about $2.5 million to do some sidewalk work on 3500 South. And initially they thought that would be able to fill in quite a few gaps between West Valley as well as Magna, different areas. But when we heard of this project, we put a little pressure on them, really wanting to see some solutions where the Hunsaker Meats building is and the conflicts we have there on 3500 South. So we sat down with them early on and really put pressure on them to include that in the project. Obviously, the right-of-way costs for that and the minor sidewalk improvement they get from that was pretty substantial. So the city did offer to contribute $100,000 towards the right-of-way acquisition costs if they would commit to getting rid of the Hunsaker Meat building. They agreed to that and have included that in their design. So we are contributing $100,000 to go towards that. In addition to that, about a year and a half ago, we had put in an application for safe sidewalk funding. Safe sidewalk funding is basically for projects that are on state routes to fill in sidewalk gaps. But as part of that, the local government has to contribute a 25% match in addition to acquiring all right-of-way necessary for the sidewalk. So we did an application for the stretch between 6800 West and Highlander Street, which is about 6900 West. And we were successful in that application. But we sat down with UDOT after that and talked about their 3500 South Sidewalk project and the new funding we just received. And again, it was more economical to combine those projects and basically give our safe sidewalk money back to them so they could include that, and hopefully economies of scale will play in our favor there and we'll get better pricing on a much bigger project. That being said, obviously we would have been on the hook for 25% match and the right of way. So we're offering to contribute up to $200,000 for the right of way costs associated with that. So again, came out money ahead. And fortunately the project just kind of aligned timing wise so that we could work together and do that. So that's the purpose of this first agreement.
So is the grooming daycare building next to Hunter Animal Hospital, is that
On the north side.
north side, is that getting dealt with, or?
So that was another
sidewalk?
That was another one of our target properties that we were hoping to acquire, but the amount of money going to the Hunsaker relocation, well, the acquisition there, it was not in the cards on this project. Their safety team is still actively working on trying to get more funding for 3500 South and sidewalk improvements out on 3500 South. But at this time, they don't have those and they want to move. This project's been dragging out for a couple of years now and they want to get some improvements in the ground. So they're going to move forward with the scope they have right now as they continue to seek funding for other opportunities on 3500 South.
So will there be sidewalk in front of that building?
There will not be. There are no
Okay.
improvements there. This project only, it's actually, for the amount of money spent, we're not getting that much sidewalk, and it's mainly because that Hunsaker project, it just costs so much money. But there's 3 segments in West Valley City that we're getting. Out by 7100 West, there's a on the south side. It's a very short frontage. I'm happy to share it on the screen if need be. But yeah, there's a short frontage property out, I think 7105 West. And then the safe sidewalk section between 6800 West and approximately 6900 West. And then the Hunsaker Meat Building. So those are the 3 segments that will be included in the project.
Okay. I don't see any other questions, so
When do you think this project will be completed?
So they are pushing to get these agreements executed right now because they're trying to advertise this project in a month. So spring construction is when they're trying to get this. So next construction season is when you should see this work happening.
Thank you.
and then resolution 23-172.
Yep, so tied to the same project. This is just a betterment agreement, essentially in these areas where they're doing sidewalk. There will be the creation of a new park strip right there. As part of the project, they're happy to put in just regular concrete in that area, but we want to put in the colored stamped concrete to match our city standard. So this is just a betterment agreement to contribute towards that. And it was just shy of $25,000 to get them to upgrade that to the stamped colored concrete in the park strip. So.
Okay, that sounds great. Okay, any questions on that one? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And then, do you mind staying just 1 second
bet.
more? So then we have the consent agenda, and Obi can answer any questions if you have any on any of these. They seem to be just our normal temporary and easements, so.
Yeah, the majority of these are normal. A lot of them tied to our Lancer Way reconstruction project and the 2700 West UTA project where the wall will be installed. So,
Okay, seeing no questions, thank you.
thank you.
All right, we'll now go to our communication items. And we are joined tonight by Jacob Young from Jordan Valley Water Conservancy District. He is our the Deputy General Manager out there. And then we also have Jason Helm here with Granger Hunter Water District General Manager.
Great. Thank you very much. So, and do I have control of this from here or? Okay, great. Well, thank you. I really appreciate the time. We're here tonight seeking some feedback on our drought, wildfire, and earthquake resiliency project. And just quickly want to acknowledge Mayor Lang as a member of our Board of Trustees and express appreciation to the mayor for all of the great guidance that she provides to us as we seek to understand our community's needs and to best serve those needs possible. And Corey Rushton, who many of you know is a resident of West Valley City, also is the chairman of our board. And he had hoped to be here tonight, but I kind of gave him short notice on that. So asked me to express his regards to each of you and to just share the emphasis that he places on resiliency for us as a district as well. So quickly, for those that may not know much about Jordan Valley Water Conservancy District, just provide a quick introduction to who we are. Our primary responsibility is to bring the highest quality water possible into the Salt Lake Valley, and then treat that water up to drinking water quality standards and deliver that to the cities and improvement districts like Granger Hunter, who then provide that retail water service to community residents. And
Jacob,
yes.
do you mind sharing how many water districts provide for West Valley? Do you know?
So Granger Hunter provides for almost the entire city. There may be little slivers. Jason probably knows better I think there's a couple slivers that maybe.
So Taylorsville, Benyon, Kearns, and Magna. Yeah.
Yeah. So all in all, you have these 4 improvement districts that are serving residents throughout the city, and we provide wholesale water. We sell water wholesale to each of those improvement districts that serve the city. And so those 4 are 4 of our 17, what we refer to them as member agencies. And all in all, through those 17 member agencies, we serve about 800,000 people here in the Salt Lake Valley. So that's a little bit about us. And so Granger Hunter, as mentioned, is one of those. We provide about 80% of Granger Hunter's water supply comes from us. They purchase that water from us. And it's an honor for us. And we take that responsibility very seriously to partner with them, support them in their mission of delivering that clean and safe water to your city residents there. So quick history about the project now, and then I have a request of all of you at the end of this and of your city residents as well. So the Jordan Valley Water Treatment Plant is our largest treatment plant. It's actually the largest in the state. Treats up to 180 million gallons of water per day that we then deliver throughout the valley. And many people don't know, but we bring that water all the way from up in the Uintas. We store that water in some of the high Uinta lakes in Jordanelle Reservoir, Deer Creek Reservoir, and then it runs down the Provo River, and that's where we intercept it with a very large pipeline in Provo Canyon and pipe it directly from the river over to Harriman, where the Jordan Valley Water Treatment Plant is. With my cursor, yeah. So you can see that there. And the plant was originally built in 1971. And quickly, you'll see soon after in this timeline, we needed to upsize the capacity of that plant over the years. And as we've done that, we've kind of built around that original plant that was built in 1971. And so our current project is that original 1971, so over 50 years now, is a little bit of an Achilles heel in a couple ways. So, and we'll talk about that. So one, in terms of drought, we're able to, let me just bounce back here. So the back end of the plant was designed to treat 180 million gallons per day, but this portion was really only designed for 140. We have the advantage, since we're treating Provo River water, it's very high quality, it's pristine water. And so as long as we're getting that pristine water, we're able to push this front end of the plant up to that 180. But as we've been seeing impacts of drought, that they impact that water quality with algae events and other things, has the potential to threaten our ability to treat all the way up to that 180 million gallons per day. So that's one of the hazards that we're trying to address with this project. Second is wildfire. So in that stretch between Deer Creek Reservoir and where we take water out of the Provo River, if there's a wildfire in that part of the basin, which we've seen some severe wildfires here in Utah over the years that have impacted other treatment plants, then that water, you can see an example in this picture, it can turn black after different rainfall events. That would also hamper our ability to treat water through that original portion of this plant. And then earthquakes, we're all very familiar with the most recent earthquake here in Magna that caused some damage to structures. 1971 seismic code was not quite what it is now. And so that in a severe earthquake, we could lose that entire portion of the plant, which could bring actually the entire plant down. So we've identified this as a need that we need to address. And to do so is very expensive. And so our mission is to provide reliable service, but in the most cost-effective way possible. And we've identified, there's a great program through FEMA. It's their Building Resilient Infrastructure and Communities program. And it's a grant program that they provide. Hundreds of millions of dollars go into this program, and they identify projects across the country. We want to bring those dollars here to West Valley City, to our service area. And we're very excited that FEMA provides this and are seeking. So this project to upgrade this portion of our plant is a $70 million project. And we're applying for a $45 million grant from FEMA for this. And that's where our request comes in to all of you. That money helps us to significantly reduce any increases that may be required to water rates and such like that. And so the way that this project will mitigate those hazards that we talked about. So you can see this is the part of the plant that we are focused on replacing. This is the design of what that replacement will look like. The mitigating those hazards really allows us to continue to provide that needed water service to hospitals and other recovery centers in the event of earthquake, also fire suppression. That's critical for addressing needs of the community in those events, and then also continue to provide that residential sanitation as well. So our request is we're asking that if city council and any residents of the city could go into a survey, a little comment form that we've provided online. This QR code here will direct you to that. I also have some handouts here that I can leave with you that has the link to that survey. One of the requirements that FEMA really looks at heavily is community engagement. So we really want to hear from the community about if there are things that they would like to see included in this project. That's one of the questions on the survey. And also hear what it would mean to the community to be able to bring these dollars in from FEMA in order to help mitigate some of the costs of this project. So that's our request tonight. If all of you could provide that feedback, it really does help with our application process and increase our chances of getting that money. And then I don't know if there's a place that makes sense. I've brought some of those flyers with me that we could leave here at the city, that if you have a place where the public come in and could maybe see these and also go in and provide that as well. So That's all I have. Any questions on that?
Any questions from the council? So would this information be good to put like on our Facebook page to get it out there, or how out there do you want it?
So Jordan Valley will be putting out some links through social media on that. And so maybe just a reference, I'm forgetting the words now, a hashtag to our sites for that on the city sites would be great,
Okay.
actually. Who would be best for us to communicate that with once we've kind of posted those to our social media?
I can relay the message
Thank
to to Sam.
Okay, so Nicole Kamick.
Okay, great. And this has just gone live today. So you all are the first ones we're here talking to you about. So this website that we put up for this comment form.
How
So,
long does it open?
so we'll have it open. The applications are due in mid-January, so it'll be open through the end of December. Yeah, as much of those comments as we could get early on in the process, we include those. They will help to shape the project a little bit, and we'll include those in our application write-up as well.
Okay,
Okay,
all right, thank you.
thank you very much.
And thanks for both of you taking the time to come inform us about it.
Can I leave these with you now? Nicole?
Yes, that would be great. Thank you very much.
All right, now we'll turn the time over to Mr. Flores for our city manager hiring process update.
Thank you. So where we're at now is we have taken each of your thoughts, recommendations on the brochure and job posting, compiled that together, got that back to Appian, and they are working to finalize that and anticipating it should be posted this week. They will post that for 30 days. So sometime first, second week of December, they will have all of the applicants and they will begin their review process, which should go throughout December, probably partially into January. So I would anticipate mid-January, we should have a list of candidates from them. That's where we're at now. Anybody have any questions for me?
Yes, when they post this on the web, can you send a link over to
Certainly.
us?
Yes,
Okay,
definitely.
us.
Nothing else? Okay. Now we'll move on to our city manager evaluation and contract discussion.
So I think I'll start on the contract part, and I think I want to ask for some direction or specific questions you may have, or what it is I can work on and provide to you.
I started this process, so
Put it on him.
let's see.
It might be helpful to look at other cities, what they have for city manager contracts. I think from our discussions over the last 6 months, we have a couple of things we definitely want in there. But we've changed our ordinance for one of those, so it's our code, so it makes sense. But I think it would be good to look at a couple others, just to kind of
Get an idea.
make sure we're covered.
Okay, can definitely do that. And
We might have some of those on file even.
yeah, you
that
might,
we asked for a year or so ago.
right? We can bring those back up and get them to you. So I guess I'll add in as well. Obviously, there will be the typical items in a contract you will want to look at, think about, plan for, And then obviously when we hit the point of job offer negotiations, we can always expect kind of a counter offer on some of those items. And so I think as a group, you'll need to determine your parameters on each of those items, your kind of starting point and your point of we're not willing to go higher than that or more than that so that we know kind of where the lines are throughout that negotiation process. But I think it's good to start discussing now and determining what that looks like now. So, okay, we will get you some sample contracts to review and go from there. Perfect.
So on the city manager evaluation and contract discussion, did anybody have anything for that tonight?
So you did receive the memo that I put together on the evaluations. I know there was a lot there, but there's a lot to it. So I wanted to put all of that in there to get you thinking about different ways we can do this and all of the parts that you'll need to think about and discuss. I added in there that we can put something together as kind of a starting point if that's what you would like us to do. And then from there, you can give specific direction or thoughts on how we want to change that. Obviously, we'll have some time, but I think I would recommend that we start with that. We can put something together and start the discussion. In the meantime, through this memo are the different items that'll need to be considered and thought about or how you want to go about this process.
Is anybody ready to start discussing that tonight, or would you like more time? Because I know we got it kind of the end of last week.
We can have a closing
Yeah.
meeting to discuss about.
I think
it
that
as
would
well.
be
Better?
appropriate as
Yeah,
well.
be better
Okay.
that way.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Sit down and talk through it. Yeah, I think that works. And if you're ready to today, we can today. If not,
I scribbled all over mine, but I don't know if anybody else had time to do anything on theirs. Some had more eventful weekends than others, so.
I think another week would be good.
Okay. So let's put it on next week for a closed. Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
All right, we'll move on to the council calendar. Was there anything that needed to be discussed on that, or is everybody all right with that one?
Veterans Day program on Saturday. Are we supposed to RSVP?
That might have been nice. Okay,
Yeah, that would be great. We would like to have reserved tables up front. I actually just emailed Angel about that this afternoon as we did our walkthrough. So please RSVP through Angel so that we have tables, plenty of seating reserved for you up front. That would be wonderful. Thank you.
okay. Yeah, I'd probably just send her a text and make sure she got that. And it starts at 5:30, correct?
5:30 dinner. The program starts at 6.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. That, potential future agenda items. Did anyone have anything they wanted to bring up?
Oh, yeah, I just thought about it. What were we talking about? Hold a second.
Okay,
Well, he looks, I've had a couple of concerns come up over the week as I've been calling people or they've been texting me back, things like that. And I've forwarded those to Wayne if necessary, which a couple of them involve police responses. And so Wayne is working on those. But we might want to discuss, from what I'm hearing, if PD has a problem with something, their answer is we can't do anything about that. And my feathers get ruffled
okay,
because I know there's a lot they can do.
right.
And I don't know if it's just one officer is saying, I've taken this up to my supervisors. They're working on it. I can't do any more.
Okay,
And the resident is hearing, I can't do anything.
right.
Just if we could see where that response comes from.
So would you mind sharing those emails with the group so that we all know what's going on? And if they get this, if anybody else
I
get
know
the same?
One of them, I think, has been almost resolved because came up yesterday and the gentleman that brought it up after I passed it on to Wayne said, you want to drop by and drop a sign off? When I did, PD was talking to him
Oh, okay,
and they set up a neighborhood meeting.
okay.
So that one's been taken care of.
Well, would you still send it so everybody else knows what's going on?
Yeah.
Okay,
Well,
thank you.
but I don't want to have to get Wayne involved on every decision.
Right,
So, and I know PD is doing all they can about it, but there might be a better way to approach the public with a response.
Yeah.
Oh, we've done all we can.
maybe something like, we're working on that.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you find yours?
It's not coming back.
Yeah.
So it'll come back in the middle of the night. I'll write it down.
Put it on
Angel
next
in the
week's
middle of the
date
night,
and then,
get a response in the morning.
yeah. And then we'll put it on. Okay, council reports. Anyone have anything?
The Granger Apartments that we went
Yeah.
to. It was interesting to hear about the extent of the renovations that'll be taking place, because cost per unit seemed high, but they're moving water lines and they're completely gutting out the walls and doing more. It'll be a nice development, almost worth tear it down, start all over, but it'll be nice.
Yeah, I was impressed by their renderings, so I hope I think it'll be a really good project. And they're able to leave some of the residents still there while they work on others buildings, so they're not displacing everybody for a long time, which I was very impressed with. They're being thoughtful.
Last night's Pacific Islanders Health Coalition meeting or event at the Community Resource Center was very interesting. Hopefully, even some of us that weren't Polynesian.
Well, with my hometown, I think everybody's welcome.
Yeah.
Yeah. We both got our COVID shots. Brian went with me. I got my flu shot, so we've been looking for a COVID shot for a month. So it was really nice that it was there. They had everything you needed and
I got mine last week at Harmon's.
now see, we haven't checked there. We just keep going to the county building and they don't have anything, so county health.
COVID and flu last week and had RSV this week.
Oh.
Doctor calls it a triple threat.
It is. I attended my hometown interfaith retreat on Friday night, and it was well attended by quite a few. There was 11 different congregations represented, and it was a really nice event. They did more on Saturday, but we weren't able to stay for that, but well attended, and everybody's really excited about what's going on with my hometown. So all the other faiths are beginning to offer their buildings for CRCs. Yeah, CRCs. So it's expanding more and more, which is going to be good. Okay, seeing nothing else. Did anybody have anything on this strategic discussion list they wanted to discuss tonight? Okay, seeing none, we don't need a closed session tonight, correct? All right. You don't have anything? Okay, so we just have one more action item.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye. And we stand adjourned. See you at 6:30.